and the media.
Hey, Frank, what did you see after you got to that 13-point lead in the first quarter? Did you see something switch?
Well, I thought we came out with great energy, obviously, and sort of jumped on them, built up that early lead. We just weren't able to sustain it, for whatever reason. Portland's a very good team, and they made their counters with their energy and made their runs. And when they made their runs, we just weren't able to sustain the energy we began the game with.
Frank, AD got some post-ups in the second half. Seemed like he got going a little bit. I just wondered what you thought of his game overall in that first half, especially.
Yeah, I just think we didn't do a good enough job making sure he was involved in the offense in the first half. We just got to do a bit better job of that. But certainly a little bit better in the second half. Just one of those nights we were kind of stuck in mud a little bit. I don't know if because we played last night or whatever. But after we came out strong to start out of the gates, just had trouble sustaining that energy and intensity.
Just any early thoughts on closing lineups? I know it's something that fluctuated from game to game last season, but anything on tonight in that group that you saw for most of the fourth quarter?
Yeah, well, we're a new team, so we're going to continue to look at different things. We can play with Mark or Trez finishing. We have the ability to slide AD over the 5. I hadn't had Keith in the game because we wanted to have a ball handler in there with Braun during that stretch where Keith normally plays. So he would have been cold to put him in late. And I like the lineup that we had out there, but we just weren't able to get the job done.
Dave?
Frank, staying on AD, you mentioned that it was kind of on the team to get him better looks. Was there anything on him that he could have done to put himself in a better position, come to the ball more often? Was it just on the team, or was there anything that he could have done as well?
Yeah, I think it really starts with the group. We just weren't moving the ball that well. I got to make sure that I get him the ball in opportunities where he can be aggressive. Because when we do that, we know he's aggressive and carries a big load for us. So it's really on the group.
Bill?
Hey, Frank. Obviously, Portland has really dynamic guards, so maybe this is more noticeable given the matchup. But just what did you feel like you missed with Alex not out there tonight?
We miss Alex. Alex has great energy. He's one of our most vocal guys, even when he's not in the game. Just talking out coverages, and he's like an assistant coach over there, and helping guys through defending actions, and he's a big part of what we do, obviously. So we certainly missed his energy tonight.
We'll take 3 more questions. Kyle Bloom.
Yeah, Frank. Just Marc Gasol seemed like he had some good defensive moments, but didn't make the passing influence he had, and Trez. It seemed like he was still trying to find his scoring self even late into the game. What's sort of the balance of trying to find some of those key situations where each guy can play, and then how did you tonight sort of make a grade on choosing which of those guys to put in the closing lineup?
Yeah, we're going to have the ability to go with either one of those guys or to slide AD at the 5 like we talked about. And, we just... obviously Trez had a strong night last night. I liked his ability, with what they were doing defensively. With Trez being able to flash to the rim on AD's post-ups, or with him rolling in the pick and roll game. But that group just wasn't able to get the job done. Like I said, it's early in the season. We'll continue to look at a lot of different combinations.
Last 2, Jovan.
Hey, Frank, you guys had to play up in your pick and roll coverages because of Dame and CJ's ability to shoot off the dribble. I'm curious how you felt the bigs did in their defensive coverages, as well as in the fourth quarter and maybe some of those breakdowns.
Yeah, I thought they were pretty good for the first time in our scheme. Like I said, we haven't had a whole lot of practice time. Obviously, what we did in the playoffs, you have whole 2 weeks to lock into one opponent. This is the second night of back-to-back, so there's not a lot of reps for new guys to get involved. But I thought they did a good job. I think the bigger thing more than Dame's going to be Dame. CJ's always tough to guard, but we didn't get Gary Trent under control. I think that was one of the biggest things with with the bench. He came in and lit us up, and if you look at the box score, that's where the separation really existed, in a plus-minus, from a plus-minus standpoint, is, their bench combinations, not just their bench, because obviously, Dame or CJ's out there just like we have LeBron or Anthony out there, but those minutes is where they sort of separated themselves.
Last question, Dan.
Frank, you talked a little bit about rim protection last night. Obviously, it's not going to be the same as it was a year ago when you lose guys like JaVale and Dwight. I think you led the league in blocks last year. Can you do that other ways? Is it with, Trez as a charge taker? Are there kind of different ways to protect the rim? And how do you think that's going to sort of play out here as this team kind of figures out what it's going to do defensively?
Yeah, I don't think we should be any worse than we were last year. There's going to be a high expectation of protecting the basket. And you just said it right there. Trez with his charge taking and shot blocking. He's a good shot blocker too. And obviously Mark is a former defensive player of the year. So we have everything we need to get the job done there.
Thank you so much, Coach.
Yeah.
That Alex Caruso would not play against the Blazers, unrelated to an injury. Coach Frank Vogel could only disclose that Caruso's absence fell under the NBA's health and safety protocols. We will continue monitoring the situation as more info gets released. We bring in the insider, Brez. Brez, what's going on? Tell us a little more about this situation and the NBA's health and safety protocols.
Yeah, the NBA takes this very seriously. Last month, they published a manual detailing all the rules and regulations regarding COVID. It was 134 pages, so a lot of things to go through there. As for Caruso, we don't have all the details as to the how and why, but here's what we do know. He obviously missed the game tonight. Two possibilities likely here. He maybe came into contact with someone who had COVID, in which case he would have to quarantine for 7 days, which would mean he would miss tonight's game and 3 games on the upcoming road trip. The other possibility is he tested positive for it, in which case he would be out for 10 days with no exercise. Then you could exercise individually for 2 more days after that, and then you kind of have your testing from there. So we don't know the details. It could be just a contact tracing thing. And the Lakers are not the only team going through this. The Houston Rockets have 4 guys who've been out for almost a week now, including some pretty good players, Eric Gordon, DeMarcus Cousins. Those guys have been out since opening night because they came into contact with someone who did have COVID.
Good stuff from you, Brez. James, I feel like we've had a lot of conversations. It's been in our life over the last 9 months.
Yeah.
The bubble, the NBA did an incredible job. We've seen NFL, college sports over the last 4 months, how they've been able to navigate through this, some tough times, players missing games. NBA's just getting started.
Yeah.
Big game. How do you feel navigating through this is going to be? It's going to be tough for every team.
It's going to be difficult because, Murphy's Law is just going to come into play. If you're out of that bubble and you're traveling on airplanes, you're going to different cities, you're home in Los Angeles, you're going to the grocery store, you're doing things that you were not doing, the chances are you're going to run into it at some point. I mean, it is hard to just stay home and go to practice. I stay home, I go outside, I play golf, I come to work, that's about it. These guys, they have to go to the training facility, they have to go to airports, they have to do a lot of things and also keep up with their other activities, non-basketball related, foundations, things of that nature. No, they're doing a lot of stuff virtually, but it's going to be a huge challenge for the NBA because now they fall under the same circumstances as the NFL, college sports, and all the other entities.
Rob, we just had this conversation off camera the last time you were here. You haven't been to Houston in a long time, right? You just stay home,
yes.
and it's hard.
It's hard. I think about I got a grandson now.
Yeah,
and I haven't seen him yet. I haven't seen him yet because COVID keeps you stuck in the house, and it kind of deters you from doing things, even though you want to do them. But the safety of yourself, your family, and the elders of your family. You don't want to get anybody sick. And I think about how hard it is for these guys to do this because they're traveling. Just think about if you'd have played in the game tonight. All the people who came in contact from the refs, and that's how it spreads. And you want people to stay safe, and you want people to be responsible and wear masks and wash their hands and, have antibacterial. You laugh. If you get in my truck right now, it's about 5 packages of antibacterial wipes. Every time I do something, I'm wiping myself down. And I'm just,
They have
not
families,
for me.
they have
kids. It's for my wife who has a heart condition.
Yeah.
So I'm more worried about her than I am myself and my kids. And so you got to be safe. And it's best to have this precaution. And it basically boils down to this is going to be the